It all began with a single video, just one moment. Meghan Markle, bending at a public function, radiated poise and charm as usual, until her baby bump seemed to crease. Not just move or stretch, but crease as if it were cloth. The internet noticed immediately. People zoomed in, watched frame by frame, and what started as murmurs quickly turned into widespread skepticism. Was it authentic? Was the bump removable? Theories exploded overnight. Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, every platform was flooded with self-appointed sleuths analysing every instance Meghan appeared while pregnant. What really unsettled people wasn't just the crease, it was the ever-changing shape of the bump. Some days it was high and round, other days it was barely there. In some clips, it bounced as she walked, swinging oddly beneath her dress. Occasionally, from certain angles, it seemed to vanish entirely. The whole thing felt too off to dismiss. At first, people laughed it off. The moon bump meme went viral, and late-night comedians had their fun. But the more people scrutinised, the more even skeptics began to wonder if this was more than just conspiracy talk. Even those who'd never doubted Meghan before started asking, what's really happening? Then came the silence. The palace, Meghan, Harry, everyone who might have shut down the rumours said nothing. That silence only fueled more curiosity. And when curiosity grows, so does investigation. That's when the story started to unravel. Meghan's pregnancy was announced during a royal tour, impeccable PR timing. But examining photos from that trip, the bump's size fluctuated dramatically, even within days. Seasoned royal watchers, especially those who'd followed Kate Middleton's pregnancies, sensed something was amiss. Kate had always adhered strictly to royal protocol, doctor appointments, public appearances, every detail planned. Meghan, however, broke tradition. One major red flag, Meghan and Harry opted out of using the palace's medical staff, something unheard of for royal births, which are typically run with military precision. Instead, insiders said Meghan insisted on private doctors. That wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented. Kate, having experienced 3 royal pregnancies herself, reportedly started to observe more closely, not out of gossip, but from experience. She noticed Meghan constantly holding the bump, even when still, sometimes with both hands, sometimes adjusting it mid-sentence. It didn't seem like a mother's gentle touch, it looked more like someone keeping something in place. Others noticed too. Palace staff who'd worked countless royal events began to quietly express concern. Missed meetings, cancelled appearances, odd excuses all linked to the pregnancy. These weren't new hires, they were seasoned aides with years of service. When they spoke, Prince William listened. Initially, William dismissed the online chatter. But as more oddities emerged, he started piecing things together: photos, schedules, security notes. The timeline didn't make sense, and if William knew anything about royal history, it was that if you don't control the narrative, it controls you. Then came more footage, private clips, allegedly from events, showing even stranger behaviour with the bump. Some said the videos were fake, others claimed they were leaked by staff tired of being silenced. Regardless, the effect was the same. Doubt crept inside palace walls. William discussed it with Kate over a private breakfast, no staff, just the two of them. He spoke not as a prince, but as a brother who sensed something was wrong. It doesn't add up, he said, scrolling headlines. Kate didn't need details, she'd noticed too. What finally tipped the scales wasn't the bump itself, or the timelines, or the footage, it was the trusted staff. Loyal aides speaking in hushed tones. William knew these weren't rumour mongers, they were professionals who'd handled royal births before. If they felt uneasy, something was truly wrong. One staffer quietly confided that some of Meghan's appointments were odd briefings cancelled last minute, medical records delayed or missing. She'd even overheard Meghan talking to a private team, not palace-approved doctors. Kate began her own quiet investigation. She reviewed event photos, compared them, searched for patterns. There were none. The bump was sometimes huge, sometimes barely noticeable. She wasn't looking for drama, just consistency, and there was none. At first it became a joke and the moon bump meme exploded, and late night shows had their laughs. But the deeper people looked, the harder it became to laugh it off. Even those who had never doubted Meghan were suddenly asking, what's really going on? And then came the silence. Not from tabloids or critics, but from the palace, from Meghan and Harry, from everyone who had normally shut down such rumours. That silence only stoked the fire. Curiosity grew. And when curiosity grows, people dig. Meghan had revealed her pregnancy during an official royal tour, a picture-perfect PR moment. But those who revisited the photos from that trip noticed. The bump changed size dramatically, even within days. Royal followers, especially those who had watched Kate Middleton's pregnancies with precision, could tell something felt off. Kate had followed royal birthing protocols meticulously. Carefully timed announcements, trusted royal doctors, iconic hospital steps, everything by the book. Meghan, she declined the palace medical team altogether. That was nearly unprecedented. Royal births are orchestrated with military-like precision. Nothing is left unplanned. But Meghan chose a private team outside the palace's oversight. For insiders, this wasn't just unconventional, it was alarming. And Kate took notice, not out of jealousy or judgment, but with the keen eye of someone who'd lived through it herself. She noticed how Meghan frequently cradled her bump. Not occasionally, but almost obsessively even mid-interview. Sometimes both hands, sometimes adjusting it mid-sentence. It didn't feel like maternal affection. It felt like she was securing something in place. Kate wasn't alone. Inside the palace, long-time staffers began raising discreet concerns. Missed meetings, abruptly cancelled appearances, vague excuses all tied to the pregnancy. These weren't junior aides, they were trusted, tenured staff who had served the monarchy for decades. When they started whispering, Prince William paid attention. At first, he brushed off the noise online, but as details mounted, he began cross-checking things himself: photos, timelines, briefings. The math didn't add up. And if there's one lesson he'd learned from royal history, it's this: control the narrative or the narrative controls you. Then came internal footage. Private clips captured during events that revealed strange behaviour surrounding the bump. Some dismissed them as fake. Others insisted they came from frustrated insiders tired of staying silent. Regardless of their origin, the effect was profound. Doubt had entered palace corridors. William brought it up one morning over a private breakfast with Kate. No staff, no security, just silence and uneaten food. He wasn't speaking as a prince, he was speaking as a brother. "None of this adds up," he said, scrolling through headlines. Kate didn't need a briefing. She'd been watching too, but what truly shifted things wasn't the fold or the fluctuating size. It was the people around them, loyal aides speaking in hushed tones. William knew these weren't rumour mills. These were people who had witnessed royal births, handled confidential details with ironclad discretion. If they were disturbed, something was wrong. One longtime staffer approached quietly. She didn't accuse anyone. She simply noted strange inconsistencies, cancelled briefings, missing medical documentation, conversations overheard between Meghan and an outside team, far removed from palace-approved physicians. Kate began her own quiet investigation, not gossiping, just observing. She started compiling Meghan's event photos, side-by-side comparisons, looking for a through line. There wasn't one. The bump's size and shape changed too drastically to ignore. Medical details began to contradict each other, different symptoms at mismatched stages, conflicting due dates whispered from separate sources, and most glaring of all, no official sighting at the standard hospital entrance used by every royal mother before her. Then came the video. Meghan posted a clip of herself in a hospital gown dancing. It was meant to be uplifting, playful, but the internet turned clinical. The bump's movement or lack thereof didn't sit right. Some said it looked moulded. Others questioned how someone that pregnant could be moving so effortlessly. Words like prosthetic and scripted flooded social media again. Inside the palace, William's concern turned into unease. This wasn't about tabloid drama anymore. It was about legitimacy of their institution. He summoned 2 senior aides who had served the crown since his childhood. Medical inconsistencies piled up. Symptoms didn't match trimesters, due dates varied by source, and Meghan never made the traditional hospital entrance appearance every royal mother before her had. Then came a turning point, a video Meghan posted in a hospital gown, dancing. Meant to be light-hearted, it was instead dissected by the internet. Critics said her bump looked artificial, didn't move naturally, and that no woman that far along would be dancing like that. Words like prosthetic and staged trended again. Inside the palace, William's frustration mounted. This was no longer about public embarrassment, but about truth and the risk of the monarchy being dragged into a scandal. He consulted 2 senior aides, trusted for decades. "Are we missing something?" he asked. Their silence spoke volumes. Kate too reached her limit. She arranged a private meeting with Meghan, no press, no staff. She calmly asked about the inconsistencies, the doctors, the videos. Meghan felt ambushed, accused Kate of judging her view, and Harry intervened. Tensions escalated. That meeting triggered a chain reaction. Meghan and Harry began to distance themselves from royal life. Invitations went unanswered. Family ties cooled overnight. The public sensed a shift. Smiles became forced, photos less frequent. Then suddenly, Meghan and Harry were gone from royal duties, the palace, and the royal narrative. Headlines exploded with the news of their departure. To outsiders, it looked like a modern couple forging their own path. But to palace insiders, it felt like a carefully planned escape. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere changed rapidly. Staff were told to remain neutral, to keep up appearances, but unease was impossible to hide. Conversations grew cautious, meetings tense. William and Kate focused on protecting the institution, knowing this was now bigger than Meghan and Harry. In the following weeks, more odd details emerged. Sources near the royal medical team admitted they'd never conducted a full exam on Meghan during her pregnancy, not once. Everything had been managed by outside doctors, with no records shared, a complete break from tradition. Even the Queen's most private moments had followed protocol, but Meghan's pregnancy was a mystery. Then came more footage not leaked, but internal. Security staff reviewed palace surveillance. Nothing incriminating, but strange. Meghan adjusting something under her dress, handing a soft bundle to an aide before entering a private room. The videos never left palace walls, but those who saw them had more questions than answers. By the time Meghan and Harry moved to the US, rumours were at a fever pitch. The media treaded carefully around words like fake, surrogate, or cover-up, but royal watchers and online sleuths were relentless, comparing screenshots, tracking bump changes, piecing together every inconsistency. The term phantom bump took on a life of its own. Comment sections filled with speculation. Was it vanity, privacy, or something deeper? Something the palace couldn't admit without risking a crisis? William and Kate never commented, in public or private. They attended events with perfect composure, but their silence was strategic. To acknowledge the rumours would validate them. To deny them would draw them into the fray. So they said nothing. Privately, William wanted answers not for gossip's sake, but because he understood the stakes. If Meghan's pregnancy had been fabricated or exaggerated, the monarchy's credibility was at risk. If the truth emerged, blame would fall not just on Meghan, but on the entire royal family. Kate, ever diplomatic, focused on her children, her duties, and the family's image. But even she sensed they'd witnessed a historic shift, not just a royal exit, but a breach of trust that might never heal. In the end, the public never got closure. Meghan gave birth, photos were released, the family smiled, yet the questions lingered quiet, weighty, and impossible to bury. Some stories never get a final chapter. They simply echo, and this one echoed through every palace corridor long after the cameras stopped.